The CDC now announcing can last 41 days in a certain percentage of people. This is getting crazy, clearly mutating. We are carrying a new film that's exclusively available for the next few weeks only at Infowars.com, InfoWarsStore.com. There's no place like Utopia, a Joel Gilbert film that's even more powerful than Dinesh D'Souza's new film and more to the base of showing what collectivism is really all about, total social control. They take the good idea of helping poor people and turn it into a system of actually enslaving. Very powerful film. There's no place like Utopia. And it's not pre-order. It's shipping now for $14.95, and your purchase supports Joel Gilbert and the InfoWars operation. There's no place like Utopia. Available at InfoWarsStore.com or 888-253-3139. Don't forget we have the Made in America Ebola shirts that equate Obama with the disease of tyranny. Very effective. Those are selling out very quickly if you want to get those, but the blood splatter one and the regular one, it's fake blood, folks. And then we also have the Molon Labe Come and Take It shirts in a bunch of different designs, and also a tight-fitting one with gold foil for women that I think is one of the best-looking women's Second Amendment shirts out there. That's at madein1776.com or InfoWarsStore.com. Madein1776.com is just a subdivision of that. Just like InfoWarsLife.com is just a sub-area of InfoWarsStore.com with the very best, bar none, in my view, supplements out there. We set out where other supplement makers, will spend $2 on a product and sell it for $30. I'll spend $18 on a product and sell it for $30. Or we'll spend $10 on a product and sell it for $25. Still a markup, still funds our operation, but we go to some of the biggest, most respected manufacturers in the country, and we just go, we're going above and beyond organic standards, government standards, everything standards, and we're going with the most powerful dosages. And they're like, wow, you're going to put $40 in one bottle like DNA Force of just one of the compounds. Each bottle has that much of one of the compounds in it. The BioPQQ, the CoQ10, all of it. These are nutraceutical over the top. R-iodine. Try it next to all the others. Blow you away. Double the strength of leading competitors. 50% stronger than our last formula that's still available. People say, this doesn't taste horrible. Why does it taste different? Because it's not mixed in alcohol, and it's true nascent iodine from a crystal source, not a seaweed source that we believe from our research is not true nascent iodine and bounds to the alcohol. This is in a organic palm oil. And for me and my family and my research, I believe for my immune system and for bolstering my body's defenses, it's just as important or more important than colloidal silver. And iodine is something you got to have. Colloidal silver is not something you got to have. Without iodine, you die. And there's a big conspiracy with them lowering the allowances down to nothing. So InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. Stock up with your preparedness cabinet. InfoWarsLife.com or 888-253-3139. The Lung Shield is a whole bunch of essential oils and other key extracts. Concentrated. This isn't like normal throat sprays that have some menthol. It's so thick, though, you got to, after you use it 10 times, kind of wash out the sprayer because it will clog. It's super thick in the bottle. It's oil. There's not fillers in this stuff. We checked into the leading competitor's throat spray, and it's like $1.50, and they sell it for $20. Okay? We go over the top and put like $10, I think it is, of product into it. So it's just, if you want real hardcore stuff, this is it. And it supports Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, the nightly news, the reporters, the writers, the researchers, the great people running the show right now, the customer service people, the graphics folks, everybody here. And we're trying to expand in the face of this tyranny. I'm not going to risk my life and just, wait by the wayside here. Wayne, I want to go to calls and then finish up on Gary Webb. But first off, tell folks about your new book at WayneMadsenReport.com.
Well, it's called The Star and the Sword. And ever since 9/11, I'm actually right now pursuing yet another angle on 9/11, which came to me just recently. But, people said, well, I was the one who received this DEA report on these mysterious Israeli art students who were penetrating security at various places before 9/11. And then, of course, I got that list, remember, of all the suspects, had Atta and all the rest of the hijackers and all these other Saudis and other people on it. And in addition to the guy who was the running the urban moving systems, the Israeli-owned moving company in New Jersey. And I said, you know, I got thinking, people said, no, the Israelis were behind it. No, the Saudis were behind it. But, you know, what we see with ISIL or ISIS or Islamic State or whatever they're calling themselves this week, you know, they're being supported by not only the Saudis and their friends, these potentates on the Persian Gulf, but also, as we see in the Golan Heights, they're being supported by the Israeli Defense.
And that's not anti-Israel when it's in the Jerusalem Post that Israel's government is supporting al-Qaeda. It's a fact. And as you said, why did Fox News, when 9/11 happened, they did 4 reports on the Israelis getting arrested as well? Was that some inner blackmail fight going on?
I heard it was Cheney had a big fight with then Sharon, Ariel Sharon, the prime minister of Israel, and wanted to send a message to the Israeli government. Look, we know what's going on. And he handed part of that DEA report. It was about 64 pages, if I recall. He handed part of it to Britt Hume, who attended the vice president's Christmas party in early December '01. And of course, you know, a week and a half later, Fox ran with that 4-part series. I heard that was what prompted it. But remember back in Desert Storm, Saddam Hussein was firing scuds not only at Israel, but also at Saudi Arabia. These 2 countries, I'm suggesting in the book, The Star and the Sword, have had a long-term relationship going back to the 70s and 60s with a group of intelligence agencies called the Safari Club. But even back to post-World War I, when the first Saudi king, Ibn Saud, sent a letter to Chaim Weizmann, ahead of the World Zionist movement, saying, look, we Saudis have no problem with you establishing a homeland in Palestine. That's history. And some people want to ignore that history, but I would suggest that link between Riyadh and Jerusalem has been around a lot longer.
Why would Saudi Arabia want to overthrow Libya, overthrow Syria, overthrow Egypt, overthrow Iraq? I mean, I guess so they can take it over.
Part of Netanyahu's he came out with a plan in 1996 called a clean break, or securing the realm. It talked about overthrowing these Arab governments and replacing them with warring factions. There was also the Oded plan formulated by an Israeli in 1982 that called for the same thing. So when we saw Wesley Clark come out and say he saw a list of governments that we're going to overthrow in the region, it's the same list. It's the same plan. Clark didn't disagree with it. He just said he saw it after 9/11. Look, what Clark saw, the Oded plan, the clean break plan, and Netanyahu, which was
sure,
basically written by Richard Pearl, it's all the same thing. And we're seeing it played out now with ISIS.
Sure.
Realize the ISIS represents 12,000 mercenaries from 81 different countries. A lot of them haven't stepped foot in a mosque in their entire lives. They have no linkage to Islam. So what do you call that? It's a mercenary army.
It's a CIA secret army. And my issue is, if these Arab countries were really attacking us, it'd be one thing. But over and over again, the West stirs them up, arms the radical group to go into friendly countries like Egypt, try to overthrow them. I mean, this is, but this is the same thing. Shut our businesses down. Shut our economy down. It's not an American government or even Israeli government. It's just these criminal networks that get power out of crises. And then they're taking my liberties and your liberties and our children's liberties in the name of al-Qaeda that they run. I want the fraud to end. Just like they're letting Ebola in, and then they're going to let it get out of control.
They're not going to stop with Iraq or Syria. They're going to. When I was in Iran recently, I was in a car traveling between Shiraz and a town on the way to the Persian Gulf, and I noticed Iranian police were stopping cars, and I asked, what are they doing? And my driver said, oh, well, they're stopping people that look like they're Arabs to see if they're members of ISIL. I said, interesting. You think they're in the country? And then I started asking, and yes, they've crossed into over the Iranian border. They're going after the Iranian government next. And we also had a situation in Syria where the largely Tunisian commanders of ISIL were actually turned on by Chechens and from Georgia, the Republic of Georgia, and Uyghurs from Western China. They beheaded these guys. These were pretty good commanders, and replaced them because the CIA, the Saudis, and the Israelis eventually want ISIL to go after Russia and China, and Chechens and Uyghurs are the ones they're going to use to do that. And look, what's happening in Hong Kong right now, these protests are a carbon copy of what took place in Maidan Square in Kiev. This is a direct assault on China. ISIL is not going to stop at Iran. They're going to go into Western China. They're going to go into southern Russia.
All right, we got to go to calls. They've been holding. Charlie in Canada, thanks for holding. Then we'll go to Sean, Indigo Kid, and Anthony. Go ahead.
Alex, I owe you a heartfelt thank you. I've had a disease called sarcoidosis for 25 years. I've been critically ill for 14. I ordered the oxy powder, and it knocked it out of me literally in 6 days.
Well, we can't make medical claims, but I only sell stuff that's blown my socks off, literally. Oxy powder, it's time-released oxygen, releases in the small and large intestine, or large and then small intestine, and it just, other herbal flushes and stuff are very painful. This is just life-changing. I was pushed for a year to carry it, pushed for a year to promote it. I was just like, no, I'm not going to do that because I'm not into that stuff. And it really has been amazing and made my waist size go down personally, and has just done a lot of stuff. I mean, what happened when you took it?
Well, at first, I got, it wasn't uncomfortable. I kind of felt my stomach bubble up a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. And literally the next day, I woke up and something was different. And within 2 days, I was walking around my house again. There are parts of my house I haven't seen in 10 years, literally.
You were in so much pain in your stomach? Your intestines?
Actually, I had joint pain, hives. I had lesions on my head that are healing now. My system has been so toxic.
Well, they say 70% of the immune system is in the gut, and so if that's messed up, then you just literally, I mean, most skin stuff, dermatologists will tell you, is based in the gut. And look, John Harmon told me today, in fact, John, if you've got the mic hooked up there in Minnesota, we're in Austin, come on and tell folks what you told me today about oxy powder.
Sure. I just popped in Alex's ear and told them that I do take the phone calls here at the network, and just influx of callers calling in about the oxy powder, just saying, hey, I need to be on the air necessarily, but just pass on the word that stuff definitely works.
Yeah, folks, we don't sell stuff unless I've had dramatic effects. For a year, groups like, you got to try this. This is my star product. Alex, I'm telling you, I'll private label it for you. This is the best thing I've ever made. Hollywood all uses it. Look at this, look at that. And he goes, Alex, you want to be healthy? You've done this stuff, do this. And I'm just like, you know what, man? I don't want to go on air and pitch something for my intestines. I mean, talk about what it does. But I go, okay, fine, I'll take it. Unbelievable. Started taking it about 2 months ago. Only take it a few days a week. Take like 5 capsules at night. In the morning, just get ready. And my stomach, my mom, I was at my parents' house with the kids swimming Saturday, and my mom walks over and she goes, are you on something? And I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, you've been working out hard and looking better, but she goes, my God, you look like you're 20 again. Your muscles, your stomach, it's almost gone. What is going on? And I said, iodine and oxy powder. And I said, I'm scared of this, Ebola, so I'm taking everything now. I'm finally just taking the full amount, not forgetting every other day. And she went, well, I want some of that. And I still don't look that good compared, because I've gotten in bad shape, but I look a lot better. And it's just amazing. I didn't mean to go off on a big jag. We need to send Wayne some of this and see what happens to him. But thank you for that plug, sir. Yes, it's the real deal. InfoWarsLife.com. Sean in Ohio. Sean, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Alex. How are you today?
Good, brother. Go ahead.
Well, I'm calling from Akron, Ohio, as you well know, is the second destination of Amber Vincent. She recently was in the Northfield neighborhood here where we live, visiting family and friends.
Yeah, you're talking about the nurse with Ebola.
Correct. Yeah, she was taking care of, I think it was Mr. Duncan down there in Texas. And we got some, my wife's a nurse, and, we've been really closely monitoring the situation, as has everyone else here in Akron. But, and there's a lot of things that don't seem quite right, and I've got a list of information here for you. I'll try to run through it as quick as I can.
Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Basically, there's news that's just come out here locally. I'm not sure if it's national yet, but before, she had treated Mr. Duncan there at the hospital, and she had a conversation with her Reverend Glenn Lorenzo, I do believe, before she even flew up here to Akron, saying that, she was very unhappy with the gear that she was given to wear while she was treating Mr. Duncan, that her
yeah, and then she called the CDC and said, I have a fever. I worked on a Ebola patient. Can I fly? And they said, yeah, go ahead, Cupcake. I mean, none of this sounds right. Keep going.
Yeah, they went ahead and just let her fly, even though she was symptomatic. first they told us here in Akron that, there's nothing to worry about. She wasn't symptomatic as of the day of her flight. And then it came out afterwards that she was symptomatic as early as Friday. So she spent the whole weekend here in our neighborhood, in our stores and everything else. And so, everyone here is a little bit on edge. But, there's been a lot more going on in this neighborhood prior to this.
Well, listen, what's your bottom line so Wayne can comment?
Well, basically the bottom line is that, Metro Health came out recently here, which is a hospital, Cleveland Metro, saying that they are prepared for Ebola. And, Mayor Don Pasquale here in Akron said, no, we are not ready for that. We want them to be, if there are anybody that becomes symptomatic, we'd like them to be shipped out to a proper hospital that can deal with it. Margaret Irma, which is the Summit County Public Health Department spokesperson, said that, they would
Sure,
like
it's in total disarray. I got to jump for other callers, Indigo Kid and others, but, we get the basis of what you're saying. Could this be, Ebola's real in Africa, but could this be a simulant with people that think they have Ebola? As Mr. Steele said from the CIA a few weeks before this broke, that it could be a simulant and something to create panic. What's your take, Wayne Madsen?
Well, we are getting into flu season after all, so people could get confused. But, remember Obama hosted this Africa summit about a month and a half ago or so, 2 months ago. And I said, why in the world would he be having these private executive jets fly these leaders in who won't be going through the normal security checks or customs immigration checks at the airport, because many of them flew into Andrews Air Force Base and others flew into Dulles and went through the VIP lounge there. And and then we had Frieden, this Tom Frieden, the Dr. Frieden, the head of the CDC, said, "Oh, well, Ebola will never be a problem here in the United States. We're not worried about it." And I said, this guy sounds like a quack. And you know what? His job before he was the head of CDC he was Mayor Bloomberg's director of public health in New York. He's the guy who came up with the ban on big sodas.
A bunch of control freaks. All right, thank you. Indigo Kid and Anthony and Janero, I think is how you say it. Your calls are straight ahead. I'm Alex Jones, Infowars.com. Indigo Kid, you're on the air with Wayne Madsen, our guest. Go ahead, Indigo. Thanks for holding.
Hey, guys. Well, because Ebola has gone airborne in the sense of these flights from West Africa, I wanted to launch something called Operation Airborne Ebola. And the thinking is people wore the T-shirt I designed or your shirt, Alex, or design their own, just a permanent marker on a white T-shirt. If every time they go and take a flight in the U.S., they wear these anti-Ebola, anti-Obama shirts, that could be a big news story.
They will try to ban you wearing them, and then it'll become a national news story. Everyone should design their own if they don't want to buy one from us. I totally agree with you, and just show how they, and then say, well, wait, you're allowed to fly it in, but I can't wear a shirt saying it? That's a great idea. Wayne Madsen, your take on that?
Well, I just get back to the whole thing with, I don't think we're being told the truth about this. I think Ron Klein has been brought in to basically put an information cone over news coming out.
A snow job.
Yeah, basically, and how many cases? There was a woman who was also projectile vomiting at one of the train stations in Boston. And they tried to say, oh no, she. You got
Nigerians getting off flights, dying in Houston, dying in New York. Vomit everywhere.
Exactly, and I just I'm not buying it. But we're talking about Gary Webb earlier, and I think Gary set the gold standard for shoe leather investigative journalism. I was so happy he contacted me by email, and I never believed he killed himself. I got into a heated argument with somebody who I knew very well. And I worked with this guy who insisted it was suicide, and I was just, I just publicly disagreed.
Yeah, that was the guy with the connection to the CIA.
Yeah, same guy. Yeah, I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same guy. But I talked to many other people who said, look, the one thing the movie said is he got out of journalism, but when he called me, he was working for an alternative newspaper in Sacramento, and he was investigating the same company, ACS, for red light camera fraud. But I think he was looking at it. He contacted me because he knew I was looking at them with potential election machine fraud, voting machine fraud. And I think he had other information. I think he had a great career ahead of him.
Oh, they were scared of his name and the fact that he never backed off, never said he was wrong, was being vindicated. They couldn't kill his name, so they blew his head off.
Right. And, I mean, I think of guys like Gary Webb and other investigative journalists I've known over the years who are no longer with us. Many, died. They just got old, died of cancer and stuff like that. But I try to emulate these people who were basically my mentors in journalism. And that's why I'm getting ready to go pursue yet another angle on 9/11, because that may be 13 years ago, but I'm not going to give up on that story.
No, great job. I want to do 5 more minutes at Overdrive and finish, then we'll let you get out of here after doing 2 hours with us. But I want to go to Anthony and Gennaro and Bill if we have time. But the minute we have left in this hour, folks can visit WayneMadsenReport.com if they want to see really hardcore journalism and a guy who isn't, acting like he knows so many angles. He really is super informed. It is a delightful pleasure to have him on for 2 hours and be able to just hear all the factoids and data he brings up, because I've researched so much of this and he knows more than I do on so many fronts, and that's a real pleasure to be able to occasionally actually sit at somebody's feet and learn something. That's the true mark of a master as well, is that you want to learn more and know how much you don't know. But Wayne, as we go to break here, people like Gary Webb will be remembered forever for being honorable in the arena, not backing off when they threatened to kill him and his family. He is the example of a real man, a real human, and all those that helped kill him and were part of it and who went along with it, they are a bunch of cowardly people who I don't think belong to this species. They are absolute just cowards. They have no honor. Back in 60 seconds, take a few final calls in Overdrive. Some stations don't carry it. Infowars.com/show. Yes, one of the greatest things in my life is being able to associate with other informed, honorable people that aren't cowards. And the older I get, the more I just cannot believe how blessed I am to come from an honorable family of good people overall, and that I am not in the company or culture of backstabbing yes men and cowards. I'm just going to say that again here. Anthony in Florida, you're on the air with Wayne Madsen. Go ahead.
Hello, I guess I've got a question or a comment for Mr.
Sure.
Madsen, or question too.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. A while back, I saw this video and it showed General David Petraeus, and he was speaking to a group of people, and he made the comment, "What comes after America? North America is in the North American Union." And
Yeah.
I was wondering what the status on that is.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, well, look what's going on with the Trans-Pacific Trade Partnership, which is going to create basically a union of Pacific Rim nations. Now there's also a North America European Trade Partnership. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's already official. They're already following it. They're already making our governments illegitimate, and the public just doesn't know.
Absolutely, and that's it's all going to be governed by corporations. So unless you're a major stockholder, your vote on election day isn't going to really mean a hill of beans.
Yeah, we're training and stuff, to fight, like the World War II enemy. Meanwhile, it's a corporate enemy in suits that organizes the chaos and then presides over the chaos to wreck our lives and consolidate power. Great question, Anthony. Gennaro in Arizona, you're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Alex. Thank you for taking my call. Hi, Wayne. Listen, we spoke a couple of weeks ago about the audacity of the CDC director. I just wanted to touch on a couple things. I really believe that Thomas Duncan and these two nurses do not have Ebola, and this is why. I feel that this is a part of their distraction, diversion, and deflection.
It full well could be. They've been caught doing stuff like this before. But, I mean, there really is Ebola raging across Africa.
No, that I know. The reason I feel that way is because Robert David Steele said they would try to use a biostimulant that acts like Ebola. Here's my reasoning. Because everybody in that household for Thomas David Duncan do not have Ebola.
Yeah, why did the nurses get it, but not the family? It is suspicious. Look, that's the problem with a totally lying government. You can't believe anything they say, so we don't even know. Wayne, your comments.
Well, remember when they sent the woman to Atlanta, I believe it was Amber Vinson.
Yeah, it was.
There was a guy, everyone was wearing these hazmat suits when they were putting on their medevac plane in Dallas, except for the guy in the back who was
in charge.
Clipboard. I mean, the clipboard man has now become as infamous as the babushka lady and the guy with the umbrella on Dealey Plaza on November 22nd, 1960.
Well, that's right. And he gets out of the vehicle with them, and then he's touching the gurney and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he's immune, Wayne.
I guess he's immune. so they need to find out what his blood is to try to clone it so they can come up with the vaccine, because he's an amazing human being if he is immune. But yeah, look, there's so much disinformation on this, and as we talked about with flu season coming on, look, I got off of a flight from Dubai, flew from Tehran to Dubai. It was Emirates Airways, went to Boston Logan, and of course I had a wonderful reception by the ICE people. Customs, that's another story. But I was held for about an hour and given, under cross-examination without a lawyer. But
well, you weren't illegal. That's why.
Yeah, right. But I just like a week, a little over a week later, that same flight, they had the hazmat guys come on because 5 people were on that same plane with signs or symptoms of Ebola. Maybe they had the flu, but we're going to probably. Yeah. It's just confusion.
Well, maybe he'll ban big soft drinks. That'll save us. WayneMadsenReport.com. Thanks for all the time. Great job. And, hey, let's talk soon about getting you to do some correspondent work for us. Thank you so much, Wayne. In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value, cutting-edge, trailblazing game changer that also supports the InfoWar. We have produced a limited run of DNA Force, and it will take up to 12 weeks to produce more once we sell out. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139. DNA Force from InfoWars Life.